Hello. You think like like I'm doing show and tell or something. You know, like a presentation in front of my history class. But no, we're just coming up with stuff and sharing it. Thanks, YouTube. That's all it is. It's not all it is. For some people, it's an industry, but it's like you come up with shit and you put it in front of someone and see what happens. I'm looking at what those YouTube shorts are primarily. It's fucking bullshit. No, never mind. Respect, respect. Work it, girl. Anyway, here we go. I wanted to talk about looking at the wrong page, acting like I have like graphs of shit. Blank page, wrong page. This is the page, and it's about team player ideas. For those of you who have been who need it, most of you who need it will not watch this video. This is a video for the people who understand it, and then maybe want to see if there's anything that is obvious that they don't already. It's like common sense. And then when they hear something that confirms what they already know, then they can go to their bozo boneheaded friend and be like, you see, it's not just me telling it, right? So if this helps help you out in an argument, then great. I'm happy. So this is about like teammate stuff. So first I want to talk about speedrunning and who's a speedy guy. This guy's a speedy guy, and a lot of people use Carly as a speedy girl, I found. So here's something about speedrunning, right? I watched a streamer, and I'm not gonna. I want to like promote people, but I don't. If I'm being constructive in it, but also critical, I kind of don't know how I want to do it, because I'm not into calling people out, for I think obvious reasons. It's not about that. I want to learn. But anyway, I saw a title, and it suggested that this person who's running these nightmare runs was carrying other people, right? And I thought, how are you carrying people in nightmare runs? And this guy had a really funny gimmick, nice attitude, and but he did something that normally I would have been like, what the fuck you doing, bro? So he said, some of you will already know who I'm talking about. He said, wish me luck. And then he jets out the door. And I didn't see his deck, but whatever he had made him zoom, right? So he zoomed. We're talking about like the first 3 missions in Nightmare. He zoomed, he speed running, knew the paths, knew the doorways, knew which rails to jump over. Nothing touched him. He gets to the end. He gets to the safe house, the safe room, turns around, closes the door. The entire map has spawned, and it's chased him to that door. He positions himself at an angle where the door meets the frame. So it closes, and that crease where the door meets the frame, he stands at an angle with his machete, and he just whacks it. You can't see what he's hitting because everything's on the other side of the door, but he knows he's hitting stuff. He's obviously practiced at this, and he gets there quick. He's memorized the locations of the sleepers, so it's almost like he was like psychically aware that the sleepers were going to be there, because he's automatically had his cursor pointing in the direction of where the sleepers were when they were in his way. That would have prevented him from running. So apparently, of the locations that they can be on, they're almost always in those locations, and he was able to memorize that. The only thing that could potentially obstruct him, and eventually he was stopped by the director, which happened in like the 3rd or 4th mission, was an incredible increase in a certain types of monsters, specials, mutations, so that they would like crowd him and like block the door and move very quickly. Like they either had quick mods, or they were like the ones that could grab you, shit like that. and or the doors would have alarms on them that would spawn in an above amount. Like if he went through the wrong door, it would be locked, and he wouldn't be able to get through in a normal way or something like that. So I think that the game can tell when someone's speedrunning, and I think that the game within a match or two will react to that and play cards and set up situations to obstruct that person. The director, it's not like a one-trick pony. I mean, or like that's the strat. But what was very impressive is that he figured out a mechanic that is in some cases exploitable. What the guy said was that the map seems to be spawning things around the person who's ahead, who's done the most progress. Then they proceeded through almost an entirely empty map until they got to the room, which was surrounded by everything that had chased him. And of course, they're coming from the rear, so they have the opportunity to shoot that shit down and then walk into the room. And for like 3 maps in nightmare difficulty, they are getting these excess points in what seems like a very, just simple, incredibly easy situation. So let's talk about this for a second. One, if you are in a quick play and somebody very confidently takes off, there's a possibility that they are a speedrunner and that they're using that session to, master that particular run. You have 2 options. You can try to benefit from that and let that play out, which means you have to be patient. If you're not the speedrunner, let them try to do that. Because if you try to go out with them or keep up with them, and you're not a speedrunner and you don't know what you're doing, you may just fuck that shit up for them and then ruin their ability to do the job. They could potentially outpace you, but you spawning stuff with them might, mess it up. I don't know how serious it could be. You can also leave the game and say, that's for you, buddy. I'm not going to do that. So the reason why I want to talk about speedrun is because right now, I think there is going to be a stigma that develops around people who don't play, that are not team players. And one of the manifestations of this is people who run off. But there is an elite subsect of people who run off that are actually playing a certain play style that affords the team of cleaners an opportunity to actually progress. And when you do it with a level of professionalism and finesse and expertise, and and if you're trying to develop that skill, that's nice. I appreciate it. That's cool. I might not always be in the mood to play with that style, and I'll observe, I'll see how things are going, but at least now I can understand what's happening. And that means a lot. So for those of you who are speedrunning the game, Back 4 Blood, I think it's insane. I don't know how you guys do it. It's like magic, but respect. Good shit. So what the rest of this discussion is just going to be about, tips for the people who don't speedrun, right? One, the first tip is babysit your team, man. Know where your team is at all times. Be mindful of the stragglers and know the value of each team member. So what do I mean by this, right? If you turn around, if you're in the lead and you turn around and one or two of you guys is all the way back there, but they're moving, they're just lagging behind, you might think, why they're not catching up to me? You're moving too fast. I mean, you could say, why are they not catching up to me? But if you don't know why you have to ask that question, it means that you weren't interested enough to turn around and see where they were at. You're only as safe as your team is safe. So whatever problem they have, you have the opposite version of it. It's still an issue. Slow down. Not every team is going to be at the same pace or at the same level. If you want to maximize the chances of not wasting your time getting those supply points at the end of that mission, stay in range of the guy who's the furthest behind, if they're active. If they're DC'd or something, that's not what I'm talking about. And if they're acting silly, like spending too much time and not moving forward, you can certainly ping the map. But before you decide to scuttle dead weight, try to not make that your first option. Try to stay in range of the guy that's at the end of the line. Know the value of each. So not only are you babysitting your team, but regardless of what's going on, know the value of each. You know that Jim has natural, a damage increase, and he's probably gonna make himself a ranged target. I don't and for precision shots, right? So range DPS, so knowing why you're protecting him, because presumably he's going to help take down armored or threats or dangerous threats with weak spots faster is important. Knowing why you want to protect your healer, because your healer is maximizing the heals that you need to survive, is important. Knowing why you're protecting Holly or keeping anyone, just on your team, flex position like Carly alive, is because she's gonna help you fucking find threats before. You don't want them to touch your sniper, your healer, your melee. That's your shit. That's your shit. You need to be a little bit possessive and protective of your team. Not crazy, not angry, but just in how you move and how you operate is always in relationship to where they are. This brings me to the next point, which is your role in relation. When you are healing the team, what you're really doing is it's a war against trauma, and it's a war against and it's a war to preserve the lives of the team so that they can get. Likewise, if you're melee, you have the ability to face off against a big chunk of ridden, like trash mobs, and in some cases mutations, in the way that no other class can. But if you're off by yourself in a corner because you can self-heal and the rest of the team is dying, then you're not doing your job, man. You need to be a meat shield for these guys. If you see your healer or just anybody else on your team kind of getting surrounded, man, clothesline them bitches, run into them, man, whack, 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 whack. Just put yourself in between and give them some breathing room. Do it, like get there, because you can hold it down. You're gonna learn that kamikaze mechanics will get you killed. So, be smart. Hopefully your team will know to rally with you at a choke point or to get on top of a car or something like that and not put themselves at risk. And sometimes people who don't know what you're doing and don't know how to position themselves will get you killed. So weigh it out. Let experience dictate when, rush to their aid or not. Just know that when you do get in front of somebody, to diminish the cluster of trash mobs that have gone around them, that's the job. You will make it, they won't. You know what I'm saying? And every ounce of defense that you add to them in that role means that they can continue doing their job a little bit longer. Likewise, if your role is not to do a high amount of damage, precision damage, like a walker or a Jim, and you know that you're going to exhaust an entire clip on some ridden, your job is in crowd. All you've got is a pistol, that's your only ammo, and you're planting your feet in front of an oncoming bruiser, and you're not running knowing that the only person who could do damage is somebody that's on the flank to hit the shoulder. You're planting your feet like a bot, right? Don't do that, man. Your job, kill the trash mobs. Only fight them when you have some breathing room, but you need to like move and clear the space, because your weapon may not allow you to do anything more than that. You need to trust that your teammates are also trying to solve this problem, right? So you want to keep them up so that their brain can function. And if the weapon that you have does not allow you to deal with a big threat because you're not in the right angle, or you don't have the right, you just don't have good power in that weapon, you run out of ammo, then take care of the bitch, like keep working, keep moving, but proactively understand that that's your focus. I think that a lot of people die because they don't understand what to focus on in that moment. That's your focus. Yeah, so your role is always in relation to your team. You're not just doing it to survive, you're doing it to protect them, to protect the quartet. And you want to make sure that you can give them the opportunity to do their job. And every role, when thinking about it like that, through the babysitting mentality, I need to mother my team, I need to be around them, I need to defend them, protect them, service them, provide them with shit, and everybody's doing that, I think everybody's gonna be, just keep it in mind, man. Keep it in mind. You're in a situation where you're Carly, and you've got somebody that doesn't understand your value, right? So you could see threats around corners, but this other guy on the team keeps getting caught by sleepers. It's because you're not moving or speaking or acting in a way that is confident enough to let them know that you could take. For the sake of the team, for protecting them, you got to try to assert that. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, okay, X person, let's say Holly, wants to be at the front and you're Carly, you know that there's a threat right there. Stand right next to them and ping it, and learn how to ping and hit the warn stuff. If they're not responding to you in voice, or you're not talking in voice, use the ping, 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 or at the very least, be right behind them so you can save them. You know what I'm saying? Don't let that person get in front of you when you can spot the threats and they can't. Protect that person, because when shit hits the fan, you're gonna want to be right behind that melee, so they can protect you from shit. You know, when you are actively marking threats, you might not always get the red skull, but you can just ping in that general arrow, 1 2 3 4 5, ping 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 ping, and at least people will know to look in that direction. Somebody else somebody is firing, like somebody will mark birds. I know that the birds, I see that the birds, so I, in response to that, will move away from the birds. Then a fight breaks out, and the same person who pinged the birds, because the ping like went away, they're the ones that shoot the birds. Why does that happen? The team should have pinged it. There's no reason not to ping shit. When you first register something, you should ping it, because by the time the fourth person pings that shit, the first person may have forgotten. So keep just liberal use of the fucking pings. Just ping 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 ping. All right, for those of you that it's hard to ping, again, you just ping the general area. It'll be white mark, white mark, white mark. Somebody will go, there's something over there, I'm not gonna go over there. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna keep my eye on that space. You know, when you warn the team, you warn yourself. It's just good for locking in a movement. And if you combine that with keeping your shoulder on the wall in most cases, I hope that will help most people avoid, you know, calling the horde unduly. Observe who moves well. Observe people who seem to, you know, have their shoulder on the wall, or, you know, don't seem to be surrounded often, are swiveling well, or taking on threats, moving at a nice clip, but not too aggressively, but also not too slowly, right? And then pick them as the anchor. You know, at some point for a buddy system, somebody has to lead and somebody has to follow. It can't be a buddy system where both people are trying to compete for the lead position. Not everybody needs to be pointed in the same direction when you're just killing trash mobs. Sub point to that, I found a lot of occasions when the team is sizing up an enemy in front, another enemy is on the move on the rear. So you do not need everyone to be pointed in the same direction at the same time. You know, when it comes to movement, the point of it is not to shoot through each other all the time, or, you know, be aggressively shooting the same trash mobs or whatever. The idea is that you cover your own threat sector, okay? Off to the right, off to the left, to the rear. Keep your head on a swivel, and this allows everybody to know where their teammates. This next tip has to do with being incapacitated. If all hell breaks loose and the team trudges off without you, and I mean, like, it's obvious it's too far for them to come back. You don't see anybody trying to handle the mid ground. You know, like, they're all clustered. Maybe they're all on the same team in voice chat. Yeah, you can consider giving up so that your body can spawn ahead. You know, sometimes somebody can pick you up, but it might just be easier to let your body spawn, you know, 10 feet ahead of them rather than 100 feet back. You know what I'm saying? So if you're alone and you're looking around, and, you know, just release your body. You know, give up. Let them pick you up later on in the mission. And there are occasions, it's not always, but there are occasions where somebody goes down and it's trash mobs and maybe a mutation. You know, like doable stuff. And you got somebody on the ground with full health, but they're incapacitated. They're on the ground. They're not up. When they're on the ground, they might have a melee weapon, or they have infinite ammunition on their sub weapon. But one thing that they don't do as much is draw attention to themselves, it seems. It seems like that's a free gun or a free melee at hopefully some kind of choke point that will help you deal with the ads. In a way, they are like a defensive trap. So some of us will see somebody down in the middle of a fight and basically put our booties up in the air for everybody to take a hit at while we try to res this person, and both of us are going to die. When what probably should have happened is you should have stood around their body, over their body, or in an angle from their body, someplace safe, so that they could still kill on the floor and help you clear the area so that you can res them in a safer condition. Because if it's just you on your own and you're on the other side of a truck, or you're down the street and that person can't fight and you're like, oh, I wish I had some help, that person on the floor can help you. So go and try to get to that person so that they can help divide the work. With tall boys is to understand that the weak point is everything, right? Tall boy's looking at you, you're looking at it in its eyes. Okay, because of everything in your gut that tells you to shoot something in the head. Everything is like, aim for that, aim for that, aim for that. But you all know at a certain point how they get melted when you get them in the chin or the shoulder, depending on where the weak spot is. You know that you don't have to use that much ammunition. You don't have to work that hard. So it's a bullfight. Okay, they don't look like bulls, but it's not what you think. They're not zombies with weak spots in the heads. They have a weak spot. That's where you have to hit precision wise. You got to get on their side, or you got to get them at an angle where you can have free range. And the best thing that a person can do, well, tall boy's looking at, is kite them. Okay, don't shoot them. You gotta condition yourself that when a tall boy comes, you need space. It's great that they're looking at you because it's giving your team an opportunity. But if your team can't fight yet because they're clearing it, it's your job to keep moving. Unless they turn from you, then you turn and you fire. Is wolf pack mentalities with the tall boy. If like 2 or 3 guys are there firing down, just hoping that with faith that their bullets will carry, and then the tall boy gets that smash and all 3 of them get incapacitated, I'm back there like, because what am I supposed to do? You know, I gave myself some distance. I'm trying to get to the flank. Now it's looking at me. I got nobody. They're all trying to shoot. You can't aim. You know, there's the downside of being incapacitated. Is you can't aim down sights. So, and that tall boy's shoulder is moving around and they're at an angle on the floor. Why did you play on your fingers, man? You know what the tall boy does. You got to get on the side of the tall boy. That's how you're going to melt it, okay? This is not always the case. Sometimes you're desperate and you're shooting the thing and, you know, it does go down and that's nice. But you ever notice what the bots do? Bots are weird, man. I don't know how they fucking do it. You ever see a bot, pop, 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 pop. They shoot in random, but the bullets eject out of their body and hit precision accuracy the trash mobs that are in the area. So when I see my bots quickly dispatch a tall boy, there's some magic going on, man. That's bullshit. That's like some David Copperfield shit. Them bullets are going to the weak spot. The AI knows what it's doing because it doesn't need logic to do it. It needs AI magic to do it, okay? You, me, human beings, right? We got to reposition. So do not confront a tall boy. The only people who can really confront a tall boy are stacked melee with an axe. They chop them down like Paul Bunyan, okay? That's fine. But if you're not that, run like Agent Smith. Move your ass. Get on top of the car. By the way, tall boys, honestly, they're defeated by traversal. Don't stand on the other side of a window. It'll just clip through the window and hit you. But railings and cars, all them little moments that a tall boy has to climb over this and climb over that, beautiful, okay? All that processing that a tall boy has to do, I feel like that's their weakness. That really is their weakness, while you're trying to give your team enough time to clear the area around them so they can focus on that guy. Okay, move. Don't let them reach you. Tall boy's got a James Brown slide that will take them down the whole block to hit your ass. And then on top of that, they got a long dong reach that'll get you. Don't do that, man. Run, okay? If they're looking at you, run. They're only safe to attack on the flank. I know you're gonna see a tall boy today and you're gonna be like, let me just shoot it in the head. I'm gonna shoot it, it's looking at me. I'm gonna just shoot it right in the eyeballs. he's gonna get you, he's gonna yoke you, and he's gonna do things with his fingers, and he's gonna smash you, turn you into a beef patty, okay? Fucking move, man. You need to run. Just imagine tall boys with bullhorns, okay? You know, that's what you need to see when a tall boy's coming at you. I put that in teamwork mentality because it is a team fight. It's a kite and flank. It's a team thing. There's a moment. Let me see if I can remember this. By the way, Castlevania on Netflix is great. I mean, I like it a lot. I like it ever. But in this particular moment, you know, they're trying to get into the room to stop Saint Germain from finishing this thing that he's trying to do. And in front of this room are these like elite vampire units, and this crazy fight ensues. Really good fight. There's this moment though where it looks really bad. All three of these badass warriors are just put in a situation where they're caught up there. They're all about to die. Now Trevor, who's, you know, like Sypha's magic is so OP. I mean, she's just brutal. And Alucard, I mean, half vampire, but he's a freaking, I mean, crazy. I mean, he's teleporting all over the place, changing into different animals. I mean, the combo potential in this guy is ridiculous. Now, Trevor is no slouch. This guy works hard, but he is human. His preternatural combat skills still rely on training, not on magic and not on being half vampire. So, but because that they've had to make him more resilient in some other ways, you know. And in a moment where everybody's nearly toast, right? He knows that he's up against somebody that is stronger than him. What Trevor does is that he sends out his I don't know if it's like a combat cross or whatever you want to call it. It's a cross with spikes and it's golden and whatever. He sends it spinning out. He knows that the guy he's fighting is like really good. Like this vampire has got his number. So the vampire dodges it, but it's not meant for him. That shit, the curve of that toss ends up slicing through the arm of the dude who's got like Alucard or Sypha in trouble, and they immediately, in a domino effect, like help out the other one in the trifecta until all of their enemies are dead. And I thought, that's fucking up. You know, like what he was dealing with was fucking tough. But he took a look at the situation and knew that he basically had to flank on his ally's threat. And once his ally was freed and able to move, then it was a chain reaction and they made the comeback. Now, what I'm about to say is almost tinfoil theory. I'm sensing that there are moments where I could see it working in Back 4 Blood. And I know there's going to be a lot of moments where the attempt to do this is going to fail horribly. But listen to what I'm trying to say when you cover people, right? And if you're constantly in motion, running or dealing with another team, and they're doing the same thing, the enemy is constantly going to be caught on the flank. Like, the enemy is not going to be... You know, if you look at like a tall boy or even an ogre or whatever, a lot of times what will happen is that when they're hit, like a tall boy, if he's hit in the shoulder but he's not taken down, he'll like try to and then he'll turn. An ogre that is hit from behind will often turn and look at the direction where they're being struck from for like a second. It'll like stagger them or whatever. The enemies appear to show some like priority confusion when they're being hit from angles that are not directly in front of them. Imagine that there's like a, there's like a diamond, right? That represents the 4 points of your team. It's strong. But then you got a guy who panics and he runs by himself somewhere else. He doesn't stay in the formation. So that shape weakens and it gets smaller, okay? But if instead, when you decide where you're gonna run, you run towards a teammate, not to overwhelm them, but to take some of the pressure off so that they have some mobility. The minute that they start to reciprocate that either towards you or to somebody else on the team, and it starts to alleviate pressure because everybody's hitting the enemies in flanks, you know. So they're staying ahead of their own enemies, turn, punch, and like turn, shove, and then run. Not shove and shoot, but shove and run. And they're clearing the enemies in front of them that are not aware because they're attacking somebody else. I have a theory that you can start to, in the most chaotic situations, start to take control back. These aren't hard and fast rules. You just have to absorb them and then play the game and then look for opportunities. Okay? But I don't know, that fight scene at the end in the last episode, I think it was the last episode of season 4 of Castlevania, really made me think about how, you know, everyone individually was really up against the wall, and the minute that a desperate attack wasn't aimed directly in front of them, but at that one who wasn't paying attention to me because he was paying attention to the other guy, and how that immediately, like, he didn't know, and then that guy did something that hit somebody else and they didn't see it coming. All of a sudden, all these people who thought it was just a one-on-one fight realized they were fighting against a whole team the entire time. You know, like the enemy let their guard down. And I think that when everybody's off fighting their own individual fights against oncoming exploders, oncoming tall boys, whatever, the minute that you remind the enemy that they got a team, that they're fighting someone that's got a team, they're not the only one with backup, I think it can put your side on equal footing. So yeah, don't just be aware and don't just know the value of your team, but also fight like hell to keep them up, you know. Okay. Was there anything else that I wanted to add? No. That's it. I'm done. The previous video that introduced this was me talking about why I started playing Back for Blood again. And this video was just about the game, so that's fine. It's about my experience watching a speedrunner on Twitch, learning some things, and for the rest of us who don't have that skill, things we should be thinking about when we venture out with some buddies, you know, and how to take care of each other as well as take care of ourselves. Thanks for watching. May the Dangerlands favor you. Maybe I'll see you out there. Till next time, peace.